2, 1. All right, welcome back to Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff. We have Matt on board as always, and as promised here on Black Friday, we are back here to talk about the big, huge game this weekend between the Eagles and the Ravens down in Baltimore. Before we get started, I hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving, and everyone's been out there spending tons of money today. I don't really engage in Black Friday shopping, but I don't know many people do. I know Matt did, but he was shopping more for a personal item. Just got back freshly from. Are you frozen, Matt?
No, I'm not frozen.
Your screen, you're frozen on the screen, but hopefully you're back. Anyway, so Matt's got just invested in a
hate car shopping.
Car shopping for the day. So he was out black. So there's no Black or Black Friday discounts on cars, I would imagine.
No,
yeah,
not for used cars.
Yeah, so
I hate the whole trade.
Yeah.
I hate dealing with people that are just inherently dishonest to begin with.
Just because we're at the beginning of the broadcast, you want to try just like logging off and coming back on because you're completely frozen on the screen.
Yeah. Let me try.
See if that works. We'll bring Matt back on here momentarily. So, all right. So, welcome to the program. Big game this week, and we had some football yesterday, and I was, while we're waiting on Matt, what a ridiculous ending to that Lions game. I was kind of hoping the Bears might be able to help the Eagles out a little bit, but that didn't work. So, all right, there you go. Much better, Matt. So while I was just killing a little bit of time there, I had to mention how the Lions and Bears game finished yesterday. I know you missed the end of it there, or missed it, but I thought the Bears were going to do us a little big favor here yesterday, but they
were close.
How to run a clock, and the game just expired. Time expired. They had one timeout left. Didn't even get a chance to kick the field goal. I mean, it was a disastrous ending. So didn't get any help from the Bears. And the Eagles and Ravens will lock horns here on Sunday, 4:25 starts. All right, so we're going to dive right into it. Before we do, a little bit of tidbits of Eagles news. Is the Eagles and trying to figure out what to do with the big, huge absence of BG. We know we're not going to be able to place, BG, but we need to get some bodies in here. Eagles went out and signed Charles Harris, the former first-round pick of the Dolphins back in 2017. He was actually the second defensive end that came off the board after Derek Barnett. The Eagles took that in that draft. He hasn't, he's kind of been bounced around the league since. He played a few years with the Dolphins, then he went to the Lions, ironically, and Falcons for a year, and he was playing with the Carolina Panthers this year and was released. So, I mean, if you're released from the Panthers, I don't know how much we'd expect from this guy. But I do remember that he can be productive at times. I remember seeing, watching him play. He's not PG, so we know that. But he's at least a body that with experience that can come in there and play. We just need someone to hold up that end of the line. We're going to obviously take a hit losing BG, but a guy like Harris, if he's got, something left, he's 8 seasons in, so he's 29 years old. It could be him. It could be Taron Jackson. That's the other rumor, the guy that's played pretty well during the preseason. He's been on the practice squad the whole year. Rumor is that he might be called up as well. They might call both of them up and try to figure out which one would work. But I just wanted to add that news in there. Matt, do you have any thoughts on that so far?
No, other than it's time for next man up and have that mentality and just try to do your best to patch a major hole with BG being gone. So not only was, BG was old, yes, and towards the end of his career, but he was having a great season. And this will be a perfect test against Derrick Henry and those Ravens that play tough and nasty football to see if we're going to be okay there or if we need to find somebody else. So, I don't know if, when he got hurt, instantly I'm like, well, who else was even out there that you could even sign at this point? And I'm like, there's no big names. Like there used to be like Ndamukong Suh's that you can pull off the sidelines, but there's nobody out there right now. So somebody's just got to step up and play ball, and the coaches got to earn their money to try to fill this hole on the right side of the line now.
Yeah. You're just really limited, and your hands are tied this time of the year. No, there's trading deadlines expired. You can't go out there and fish around or call up a team and see who's available. It's really who's ever on another team's practice squad that might, that you think might be useful, which, if players that are on the practice squad this time of the year, you're going to be scrapping for guys like this. So I think Harris, he could do worse than him. I mean, like you said, he's been a decent, productive player. He's got 20 career sacks. That's not terrible in 8 years. So we'll see. We just we're not going to have BG. We just need someone, like you said, Matt, to just kind of try to solidify the line. And big test this weekend. So we're going to find out if we have a gaping hole without Brandon Graham.
Hole.
Or we can probably patchwork this together and be okay. So
I hope that they don't get afraid to experiment with these other defensive tackles that they have. Like, what happens if you throw Melton Williams on the end for a couple snaps? What happens if you throw Booker out there? Okomo, they've got depth at the defensive tackle position, so maybe one of those guys can cause havoc from the end position. I'm curious to see how they're going to deal with that, but the Ravens are going to be a test for sure.
Yeah, that's true. They definitely have some guys that might be able to play the outside. Fangio is going to be probably experimenting, and maybe they'll find somebody like that. I mean, I know Milton Williams has played end at times, not in long durations, but he's had spot pass rushes on the outside. I know he has. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Otherwise, did you happen to catch I know you've been busy, obviously, with the holidays and everything, but there's a nice little piece on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, and this is for the audience, obviously, as well, if you haven't seen it, because it's pretty cool. They have Brandon Graham's daughter and son interviewing some players and asking them, like, on-the-spot questions. Have you seen that, 3 minutes? Okay, It's pretty good. So Brandon's daughter and his son, this is obviously before Brandon got injured, so probably was just shot maybe a couple weeks ago or whatever. But they're just out there. They ask questions that no journalist would ask. They're like, because they don't care. They're kids. So they're like Sirianni. They asked Sirianni, for example, who's your favorite player in the Eagles? He just looks at him like, come on, I can't answer that. It's like, I'm the coach. I can't have favorites. They asked Saquon Barkley, do you like being an Eagle or a Giant better? So he's like, oh, man, he tried to get me in trouble. So it's pretty cool. The kids, I mean, his daughter's got to be like 8 years old, maybe, and the son's like 4. It's pretty
BG's
cool.
got an awesome family.
Yeah, he does. All right, let's dig into the big game. This is another test. We said that the Eagles have a couple of 2 or 3 tests here. They already beat the Rams. That was a big one on the road. Here comes the Ravens now on the road, and then the Steelers in a couple weeks, and in between Carolina. So Matt pays a lot more attention to the Ravens than I do. So this is going to be, his insight. The Ravens, because he, you get almost every game down there, right? Or isn't every Raven game on television?
Yeah. Plus, I lived in Baltimore area for all of John Harbaugh's career, except for maybe the last several years. But at least a decade in Baltimore when he first got started, and that team never loses its identity.
Yep.
They're a smash mouth football team with Lamar Jackson, who's explosive and can make any play possible, right? So Lamar is like the best version of Randall Cunningham, of any era. Lamar's the best of those types of quarterbacks that can just dominate a game if they choose to take it over. Their passing attack, they got 2 tight ends that can catch the ball, and then the receivers are kind of all over the place. Zay Flowers started off well, but he's kind of been a little bit inconsistent lately.
But yeah, good player.
Good player. He can make you hurt. I think our secondary matches up well, and I think without BG, it's all going to come down to Derrick Henry and trying not to let him pulverize us, right? If he gets the defense tired, we might be in trouble. So, but for old school football fans that just like 3 yards in a pile of dust, I'm like, it's going to be Barkley versus Henry like all day. This game is by far the best game on the schedule for this Sunday. So, and who knows what to expect, right? We proved we could play against high-powered passing offense last week. Check that off the box. We handled Kieran Williams pretty well, and the Rams have been running the ball pretty well. But here comes the beast.
Yeah.
Number 1 versus number 2 in rushing yards this year. It's the Barkley Henry show.
Yeah.
There's no other. Anything else is just bonus or icing on the cake, right? It's the Barkley Henry show. And I think Saquon's going to be just out of his mind to win this crown in this game. So, the offensive line, I still think we're just a notch better than the Ravens offensive line, but their quarterback is more of a dominant playmaker than Hurts is. Yeah. So I don't want Hurts to get starry-eyed. I don't want him to get into hero ball all of a sudden. Most importantly for Hurts, he's got to play disciplined football and just let the team keep winning. And A.J. Brown, I want to see A.J. Brown a lot. They just don't use him enough. They kind of go to him, they get some big plays, and then they kind of pepper in these other things. And I'm like, just keep freaking hitting AJ until they prove that they can stop him.
Yeah.
And just use him on short routes, long routes, whatever, but get AJ the ball. I don't want to see no bubble screens, by the way. I was trying to think about this the other day. Has a bubble screen pass out to wide receiver ever worked besides like once a year? No matter who the receiver is, it could be Jamar Chase, it could be T.O. Once a year on that play, the rest of it's like you're going backwards.
I would say the only one that I've seen it play that actually work in recent memory is Deebo Samuel. That's about it.
Deebo, yep. And it's probably once, right? And then you're looking for it the rest of the
game. Often. But yeah.
That play is so hard to execute properly and get the block read and get the pass thrown where it needs to be. It's like, please don't do those. I'd rather see the screens out in the flat or the middle screens where you've got some guards pulling and you've got a roadblock of runners moving, and then you just hit that little dump pass to the tight end or the running back. Show me those. Like, give me a lot of those this game, and I'll be happy. Don't give me a bubble screen to the wide receivers because the Ravens will be all over that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of two similar teams. They like to run the ball, and they're led by their star running back, and then they have elusive. Certainly Jackson's more elusive than Hurts, but elusive quarterbacks that can beat you. And you were talking about, not being fatigued, trying to stop Henry all game. Same thing with the defense is trying to stop Barkley all game. And then you have the dual threat because you got to chase around Jackson the whole game. So, yeah, it could be a very daunting task for defenses to chase both of these guys, to stop a big guy like Harris and Henry. And then chase around Jackson with all the plays and magical, Houdini acts that he can pull out. So yeah, big daunting tasks for both defenses, but especially for the Eagles because we haven't faced a mobile quarterback like Jackson. I'm trying to go back for the schedule. We haven't faced a mobile guy like that all season.
No,
and we haven't faced the league's, arguably first or second best running back all season.
Nope.
So. Good coaching too on the other side. Harbaugh was a really good coach. The only one thing is it's not your typical Baltimore Ravens dominating defense that you're used to going against.
They are susceptible, especially to the pass.
Right. So I think this is a game where we're talking about, Barkley having to have a big game. They're pretty good against the run. So we'll see. And let's just say they contain Barkley. Well, then this game is going to be on Hurts and the play calling to maybe we'll have to win the game through the air because that is where Baltimore is susceptible. I think they're ranked 29th in the league against the pass. So this might be a game where it's on Hurts' shoulders, and he's going to have to, do some of the things that we've been critical of, read the defense, go to his second and third reads because they have a decent corner. Is it not McDuffie? He's on Kansas.
Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah,
Marlon Humphrey, and they got the rookie
Wiggins. Is that his name?
Wiggins. Yeah.
Yep.
Clemson.
Yeah, he was our first round pick. Yeah. So
healthy.
And they got Hamilton back there too, who's a really good safety. Kyle Hamilton.
Is Devontae Smith healthy for this game?
I was going to bring it up, so thanks for mentioning it. So they haven't said what his status is for the game, but he did practice yesterday, and I would assume he practiced today, but I didn't get word on that. But he was practicing yesterday, so that's a good sign that he's going to probably be a go.
They will need Devontae for this game, 100%.
Yep.
And just keep going back and forth. Like if they're doubling AJ, hit Devontae. If they're doubling Devontae, hit it. Like they have enough offensive weapons. But I want to see these quick slants, right? If they try to make Hurts make all these reads, Ravens are going to make him pay. I don't think he's going to escape like he has. Although he has been smart with throwing the ball out of bounds, right? So instead of playing hero ball, he chucks that ball out of bounds, and that's okay. It's going to be a 1-2 read offense. Then that's okay. And Hurts is becoming more of a trustworthy guy in that fashion. But I just think with Lamar on the other side, it's going to be really tough for Jalen. Like, don't try to equal Jamar.
Yeah.
Get better on reading that third pass, the third option, fourth option. Dump that ball off in the flat. If Barkley or Gainwell are out there right off the bat, wide open, just get him the freaking ball. Put it out there. Get smart with those reads like we talked about last time. And the Eagles can certainly win this game. And definitely, I don't think either side recovers from turnovers. So if you turn the ball over in this game, I don't think either team is good enough to overcome that versus the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of getting to the keys of the game, so might as well head into that segment. So as far as keys of the game, turnovers, I was going to mention that is always key when you got two teams that are, pretty much of equal footing, and especially on the road. This game is going to be in Baltimore. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how many Eagle fans get down to this game. Raven fans are pretty good, sport-wise. So they probably gobble up most of the tickets. Not sure how much were available that the Eagle fans will be able to get, because it's not far of a drive. But I think Raven fans are pretty loyal fans. And
I don't think it's going to be there like they were in LA.
Oh yeah, I wasn't saying that, but so tough game on the road, no turnovers. I guess what I was alluding to, my key to the game, I think this game is going to fall on, I think the marquee matchup that everyone's going to be focused on is Saquon versus Henry. I think this game's going to come down to Hurts versus Jackson, and Hurts is going to have to play a big game, So if Hurts is on and he does exactly what some of the things that we've already mentioned, he's able to, go to his second or third reads, get the ball to Devontae, make sure he consistently is targeting Brown, and throws Goddard in there, mixes him into the mix. And then Barkley out of the backfield. Let's not, Barkley, unlike Henry, is a dual threat. So he can catch the ball down the field. In the wheel routes, out in the flats. We know Hurts doesn't like to throw those passes, but this is the type of game where he may have to throw those type of passes. Even Gainwell, when he gets in there, Gainwell's got good hands too. Mix it up, throw it out to the wings and to the flats to these guys. And, no bubble screens though. We don't need those.
I can see 6 going back the other way. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think it's on A.J. Brown too. Like Brown and Smith, they've got to be open all game and get open, and be on their game. They have to catch everything that's thrown their direction. Like the Eagles have to play about as perfect a game as they can to get past this Ravens team, because the Ravens are tested. They've already played some tough teams, like really tough teams. They've lost to some really awful teams during the preseason back in September. They lost to the
Bengals game.
Yeah. So it's going to come down to Hurts and Brown mostly on offense. And then, what does the defense do against a completely different looking offense than they faced last week? And what does Vic Fangio have in store for that? That's going to be fascinating to me to see how they stop it. I think they'll actually have pretty good success. If you get Derrick Henry, if you get to him in those first 3 yards, you're all right.
Right.
That's what you get 4, that 4th yard, he seems to have the head of speed. Or the head of the what do you call it? Head of steam?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like Barkley, because Barkley and them, once they get through those big guys,
they're gone.
Even safeties don't want to be tackling either one of those guys.
Nope.
Because once they get going, they are hard as hell to get down.
Yeah.
Especially Henry, actually. Even maybe more so. I mean, Saquon to put more moves on guys. Henry's just looking to run your ass over back there. Which he does. And he's got speed. And I think it was whatever that long run he had on a Monday night, maybe a month or so ago. They clocked him at 21 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's fast.
I mean, that's fast for him. I would never thought that he could run over 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, no, that is super fast.
Yeah,
we'll see.
To me, it's almost like a reverse. I think my strategy would be, if I was game planning for this, I would almost say, let's use the run to set up the pass. Like, the strategy would be more of a passing attack, again, because they're susceptible to that, and utilize just use Barkley as a decoy, maybe some play option, and get the ball down the field. That's what I would do in this
Let's
game.
do play fakes though, and not RPOs where we keep the ball and turn it into a pass, so we don't get that stupid offensive lineman illegal man downfield. Don't give away these penalties. I think penalties are the other key to the game, right? The teams that are going to get penalized less in this game. I sound like a John Madden statement right here, but you're going to win the game if you have less penalties than the other team. But you cannot be giving the Ravens free downs and all that. Like, they've got to be smart with, their cornerback play has been awesome though. We don't often get flagged for pass interference, but those illegal men downfield calls on offense, let's make sure.
At least not legitimate pass interference.
Not legitimate.
They've been called with T-tack ones.
Yeah, so be smart. Don't get the penalties. Don't turn the ball over. Those are two of the biggest keys in the game. And then Hurts has just got to play smart football. That Hurts and Brown. That's all I got for the keys, really.
Yeah, and I meant to say, I actually had a reverse. I meant to say use the pass to set up the run. I said it wrong. Use the pass to set up the run. Like, if they're going to, I think they'd be focused big time on stopping Barkley and letting Hurts beat him. So I would actually use that strategy and pass the ball more to set up Barkley. That's what I would do this game. That's what I meant to say.
If we can score a lot of points in the first and second quarter through the air, and then unleash Barkley in the second half, that would be the ideal game plan here. But it's got to be smart, right? Keep throwing that ball out of bounds, Hurts, if the play ain't there. Don't give the Ravens anything for free, because they'll take advantage of it.
Yeah,
and I hope Tucker still has some bugs in his system, and hopefully he has more bugs.
Our kickers, ironically, both of these great kickers have had issues the recent weeks.
Yeah. Right, with all the NFL, seems like nobody can just consistently kick a field goal, right, or an extra point all of a sudden.
Right. Yeah, you know what? In a game like this, as close as it might be, the kicking game might be what's the difference in it, or to the turnovers. I mean, these are two, I think, very similar teams, except for the Eagles seem, have a better defense right now. Offensively, very similar teams, led by their beast of a running back and quarterbacks that can make plays with their legs. So from that perspective, Eagles have better weapons, but Zay Flowers, I've seen him make some big catches this year. And Bateman has gotten open downfield too. I'm not too worried about that. I think they'll contain Bateman any deep shots, but Zay Flowers is a good receiver underneath. I've seen some good things. Zay Flowers can be impressive.
The deep middle with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, the two tight ends there, they can all catch. Third guy that can catch too. So
both those guys.
Yeah, that's going to. Nakobe Dean's going to get a test through the air, I think.
Well, here's the thing. I wonder if they're going to use a spy, because it's not like Jackson has many designed runs, right? I mean, I don't want to, you watch him more than I do. Does he just have plays where he just takes the ball and runs?
Yeah. 5 or 6. Yeah.
Oh, he does. Okay. Well, I'm thinking they're going to need maybe somebody to spy him. Like maybe Bond will be the guy. Because he's got speed. Bond's pretty fast for a linebacker. And to just be a guy that spies Jackson, especially on third downs.
Yep.
Or Nakobe Dean, he's done better. I guess I just trust Bond more than Dean, but Dean's been playing really well the last few weeks. Great. So, or maybe between both of them, they're just like, okay, this is our assignment for this whatever play, but we got to keep our eye on Jackson, because there's nothing more frustrating. We benefit from it being Eagles fans because Hurts does it a lot. Yeah. 3rd and 8, scrambles for 9, gets first down. This is exactly what Jackson can do.
Yep.
But you got to contain Jackson. So let him get his 9 yards. You just don't want him to get 19 yards.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yep.
Should be a good game.
It'll be fun to watch.
I'm looking forward to this game. And it's another big test. So keys of the game: turnovers, We talked about, my personal strategy would be pass to sub the run. I'm not sure they're going to do that, but I think I would try to flip the script. But we'll see what they do. And I think it's going to come down to Hurts. No, we talked about no turnovers. I think this game is going to come down to Jalen Hurts. I think he is going to be the difference between a win or a loss. Hate to put the onus on him, but oftentimes it comes down to the quarterback play. I think this game's on Hurts. That's how I'm going to put it on him.
I agree with that. I would love to see Quentin Mitchell get his first interception in the game because I think he's just like chomping at the bit and ready to get one. And why not get one in the biggest game of the year when we need it the most? So I'll put my money on Q to show up this week and maybe get his hands on a ball that maybe Lamar had to scramble and had to toss it and wasn't maybe perfect. So, but that'll be
a battle in the trenches too, because Carter will be going against Lindbaum, right? The center.
Yep.
Happy to match up, or will be going against a guard. Either way, that's going to be a battle because Lindbaum's one of the best centers in the league.
Yep.
I don't know who their guards are. Maybe you remember, Matt, but Carter versus Lindbaum would be a match to watch.
They have a top 5 offensive line.
Do they? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so the trenches will be key too. Who's going to win that battle in the mud?
Yeah. Now, I think what's interesting about that is I think our offensive line is better than their defensive line, and that ratio is better than their offensive line versus our defensive line, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear what you mean.
I think we have the power to impose our will much better than their offensive line has the power to impose their will. They might be able to get a neutralization going, but not imposing their will. And I think our guys, the counterpoint to maybe starting off with pass attack in the first half would be, well, if you find out that we can run that ball early, then just keep mashing them, right? Keep mashing them. So we'll see what the Eagles have in store. I think the Eagles can win either way, though, when they need to. And it will ultimately come down to Hurts. Does he make the reads that he needs to? Does he play smart football? It's going to be a great game. It's just going to be an awesome game. This is a game that's going to be suspenseful, I think, from start to finish.
Should be. I mean, this is the game of the week. I'm surprised it's not the Sunday night matchup, but the Eagles were just on a Sunday night. So I don't know if they've ever done back-to-back Sunday nights, but still a marquee matchup of the week, I think, and two good teams. Two similar teams like we talked about, and now it's time to put our money where the mouth is, where the money is, and make our predictions for the game. Eagles, Ravens in Baltimore this weekend. I think the spread's like 3.5, which basically just a home field advantage. So they probably see it as kind of like a pick'em type thing.
Yeah.
Matt, I'll go to you first. Eagles, Ravens, give me a final score.
I think it's going to end up in the mid-20s. So I'm thinking like it's either going to be 24-21 or maybe 27-24. And I think our O-line, if we just trust those guys and basically let them lead the way, we can win. So I'll say 20. Let me go 24-21 Eagles.
24-21 Eagles. I'm curious who we picked at the beginning of the season. We split.
Yeah.
I picked the Ravens to win the game. I picked the Ravens to win the game in our preseason picks.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, I can certainly see that. I think we both could see the Ravens winning this game.
Yep.
Am I going to pick the Ravens again? That's the key. That's the question. You have 24-21 Eagles, right?
Yep.
I'm going to go a little higher score. I'm going to go, I think one of these two teams, I'm not sure which one, but I will predict this. One of these teams will hit the 30s. Will it be the Eagles or the Ravens? I'm not sure. It's kind of a coin flip for me. As you saw, as you just heard, I did pick the Ravens. I'm going to go with the Eagles. So I guess I have to put them in the 30s, but don't be surprised if the Ravens win this game like 33-27, something like that. But I'm going to pick the Eagles. I'll go 33. And I'll take the Ravens What the hell? 27. That's just what I thought I was going to do with the other way around. 33-27. I have a high-scoring game here. Something just tells me this is going to be a high-scoring game. With the two players.
30s.
What's that?
The team that gets to the 30s is the team that gets the turnover.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. And that's also a team that'll win the game. I think one of these teams, that's really the one I'm more confident in that than actually who's going to actually win. Whichever team gets the 30 will win the game.
Maybe the Britton Covey punt return.
Yeah, it could be something like that. Or we're talking about turnovers, pick sixes, fumble recoveries. We know Hart's been good with the ball, securing it wise recently, but we know he can get fumbleitis. How is I was going to ask you because you watch him again more than I do. How is Jackson with turnovers? Does he fumble the ball? Does he throw picks?
No.
Like he doesn't.
Right? Turnovers. Yeah, it's rare. It's few and far between. He'll throw an occasional interception, but he's very smart with football.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember seeing many highlights of him fumbling.
Nope.
So that could be the difference, a Hurts fumble versus him not fumbling. So I'm going to go a little bit higher score-wise. You have the game within 3. I got it within about 6. I mean, it could be 33-30 or something like that, no doubt. But I just figured since I threw out 33-27, I'll just keep it that way. So we both have the Eagles winning in close games. Matt more of a tighter defensive game. Me a little bit more of a wide open game. Yeah, and hopefully the Eagles prevail in the end.
Eagles are playing pretty good focused football.
They are.
I think Sirianni has done an amazing coaching job these last 4 weeks. Like all the doubts that even we had on the show and everyone else out there, Mike, it's when you look at the numbers of games that he has won in his 3 seasons here, there's hardly a coach that has a better record.
Well, I think he has the best record in the NFL.
Yeah.
And then maybe Andy Reid over the last 5 years or something like that.
Yeah, and he's had complete changes of his offensive and defensive staffs.
Almost every year.
All 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's insane how much he's had to actually handle as a manager of people and a supervisor, as the head coach. Like he has that stuff figured out. So stay out of the game calling and the game, don't step in and make a defensive call or an offensive call. Just trust your guys, Nick, like you've been doing. Right. But just,
And the other big difference between this year and last year, remember the Eagles were 10-1 at this point. One less loss and one more win than they are right now. But think about the difference in how we were feeling last year at this time about this team versus now. The Eagles were winning all those games barely. Bad teams, winning by a field goal. They also beat some good teams, beat the Bills, beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Close games. But they just seem to eke them all out. And none of us, we weren't feeling great about the team. We love the record, but something was off. Something just wasn't right. And then we obviously know what happened to that team last year.
Yeah, those wins didn't feel like they were in our control. Whereas when we've beaten good teams this year, it's been in our control. And the loss that we had versus the Falcons, that was in our control, and we gave it away. So this team should really only have one loss at this point. And I don't even remember who they lost to. Who did they lose to?
Who?
The Eagles lost to the Falcons, and who else?
The Falcons and
the Eagle Killers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Buccaneers, yeah.
Which,
by the way, I mentioned. Thank you for bringing them up. Last podcast, remember we were talking about the Tampa Bay and how we don't want to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I was curious after the podcast. I'm like, who the hell did the Lions lose to this year? You want to know who the Lions lost to this year? Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa's beat the 2 other best teams.
Beat the 2 best teams in the NFC.
Yep, they can do it. Especially if that gets healthy and stays healthy. That team can do it.
So
I don't know. Going to be a great game. I think the Eagles, they might come out of this one with a loss, but that's okay. They're not gonna fold over. They'll be in it to the end. And it'll be another true test, right? So it's what do we do after this game if we lose? That'll be important.
Very true. If they do end up losing this one, again, they lose to a good team on the road, it's okay. Shake it off. Just don't let it kill you. The following week they play Carolina. So if they were to lose, they got a teed up team for them to get things back going in Carolina. So we'll worry about that when we get there. So Matt and I both have the Eagles winning. We will be back for a post game show. I might be back to do it that night. If Matt can join us, he certainly will. But being that it's a 4:00 game, I hate saying this because I know you. I don't want to set up expectations. If you don't hear from us on Sunday night, it'll be certainly on Monday. That said, let's get a W. Let's go to 10-2. Big game, marquee matchup versus the Ravens. So,
Can't say birds, so we got to go with fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah, we can't say go Birds. Good point. So, yeah, we'll end it on that. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Let's get a win. We'll talk to you later. Thank you for tuning in as always. Make sure to take a minute. And if you like what you hear, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future content. All right. And we'll be doing a live stream soon as we continue to build up our subscription. So thanks again for joining, and we'll see you all in the post game. Take care.